Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my horror movie marathon. Tonight I'm going over another movie that I saw with the whole Mad Ron's previews from Hell, where a couple days ago I talked about I Drink Your Blood. Tonight I'm going to be talking about The Wizard of Gore, and this one, I'm going to be completely honest. The original one, since I found out that they made a remake, I still gotta watch that one, but the original version of it was was just bad. Like, I mean, it had some good gore. It had a lot of bloody moments. I will give it that, but that's all it really has going for it. The music, I can't even remember what kind of music is in it. The acting is, to me, in my opinion, it's just awful. The the story itself is it's interesting on paper about how this wizard named Montag the Magnificent, he basically kills people on stage, but it's faked. But then the injuries that he inflicts during his acts, they come back and kill the person in real life later. Unfortunately, like, it's bogged down by every other aspect of the film, where again the acting is awful. I think that the actor who played Montag technically wasn't even an actor. I think the story with that is that the guy who was supposed to play the magician walked away from it. So the director, Herschel Gordon Lewis, who is, I believe he's known as like the godfather of gore. He's done quite a few like exploitation horror films in the past, such as The Wizard of Gore or 2000 Maniacs, or other horror movies that came out during the 60s and 70s. But I believe the story here was that there was gonna be this older guy who's gonna play as Montag, but he walked away. So instead, what happened was Herschel Gordon Lewis asked the guy who was like doing the lighting or camera or whatever if he wanted to play as him. And at the time, the dude was only 25 years old, so they basically had to make him look like he's in his 70s. And for what it's worth, he does okay, but and everyone else is just like there's this infamous scene where like when Montag like marks people as being his victims, like this blood just appears on their hand, and there's this one guy who I think is hypnotized or whoever and gets the blood on his hand, and one of the main characters says like, oh my god, look at your hand is bleeding, look at your hand, and then he just leaves the room immediately after. I've seen that get memed to death on YouTube before. The ending itself is not much better, where like the main female reporter, who I guess is the closest that you could say to like a final girl, there's a twist that comes out of nowhere where apparently she's a magician as well, and she basically like hypnotizes Montag. But then the movie is just laughably bad. Like even the gore, as much as I said that the gore and the blood is cool, the effects themselves are awful. Like there's the scene where I think Montag like gouges somebody's eye out and disembowels them, and like for that one, it is very clearly a prosthetic doll that he's doing it to, and like they didn't even try to make it look like realistically human. Or this one scene where where Montag does a variation of the sword swallowing, but instead like he just like jams the sword into their mouth and then like jerks it so much where you can literally see the sword just bending. And the movie was just bad. Like if you ever see the movie, like it's definitely something that you just watch just to laugh at. It's not one of those movies that's supposed to be taken seriously at all. But like, it's one of those things where it's so bad it's good, or so bad it's laughable. But I always thought that it was a really it was still a fun movie to watch. But I think when I saw this movie, I was actually drinking, so just to put myself in the mood. So at the end of the day, it's still a fun movie to see. It's not something that I'd put on to actually like think, but it's a fun movie to watch on Halloween regardless. So that's really it for this review, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow for another one. Good night.